Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and today we have an early review and comparison of another LEGO Monkey Kid 2023 set. These have been provided by the LEGO Ambassador Network for free for us to review, so thank you so much for doing that. But as always, the opinions shared in these reviews are my own, and I certainly will not be going easy on them just because I got them for free. In fact, I might be going a little bit harder on them because now I'm skewed the other way. So for today, we are going to be doing a direct comparison between two sets that are probably some of the most interesting for LEGO Monkey Kid 2023. Specifically, this is the LEGO Monkey Kid Ultra Mech. It will release January 1st, 2023 and retails for $160. This, on the other hand, is the Monkey King Warrior Mech. This released in 2020 for $150, but also came with another smaller side mech as well as a whole tower building to show some civilians in for Monkey Kid's apartment. And this is $10 less, this is $10 more, and I definitely wanted to do some direct comparisons because this does actually have more pieces despite it basically just being the mech itself. Now, this mech does have a bit of a secret. The actual back of it does detach into a jet, so you can actually see that right here. It does also come with this jet, which I have displayed separately because I honestly think it's a good enough vehicle on its own. So maybe that is definitely where some of the extra pieces went to because it can use the front as weapons, the back as a jetpack, some of the blades as side swords. But I still really want to know which one of these two mechs is the better valued mech, because the thing is, the Warrior Mech is still available for sale right now. You can still get this if you want it, and it's very interesting to me how they put out two very similar products. This seems like a direct successor to the Warrior Mech, except the Warrior Mech has not been discontinued, so this allows us a rare opportunity to basically have two products out on the market, which are priced really similarly, $150 and $160, and do direct comparisons between them because they are basically based off of a similar subject matter. And so without further ado, let's just jump right into the comparison. This should be a really interesting and exciting video, so I hope you enjoy, and let's do it. Now, before we jump in directly to the comparisons here, I do want to note that I actually put out a video that was a full review of the set itself, so I will be referencing some of the points I made in that review for this video, where I also was able to showcase the alternate function of this model itself, where you can actually take off some of the parts off of the back and the weapons to form an entire jet on its own. Now, would I have preferred more civilian buildings or maybe even a villain vehicle to combat this instead of just a jet add-on? Maybe, but I still do think that this at least sets it apart from the other build, and definitely does account for a lot of the parts budget going into the jet itself, which is why this set, despite not having any other side builds, does have more pieces than the original 2020 model, even though they're around the same size, and to some extent the original model does look even more complex than this. This set will be released in January of 2023. The original set came out in May of 2020, giving us an entire 3-year gap between them. Now, LEGO has changed a lot since 2020 to now, and this set is easily obviously supposed to be the spiritual successor to this set, which is the original Monkey King Warrior Mech, and this is the Monkey King Ultra Mech, and it's really interesting putting these side by side. So obviously, to be fair, this one also does come with a staff. We'll just kind of stand it up here to showcase that it does have that. So this right here cost $150. It is the Monkey King Warrior Mech, compared to the Monkey King Ultra Mech here, which costs $160. However, the Monkey King Warrior Mech also came with this. This is a very nice side build of the buildings. It also was compatible with many of the other buildings they did around the time of the initial first wave of MK sets. They do have buildings that are compatible with this still in some of the recent city stuff and in one of the bases, which is coming out at the same time as this mech, but it did come with this, which is very nice to see. It also came with probably my favorite part of the set, and I'm not even gonna lie, This is really charming and cool. I love the way that this is built. I love it when LEGO does little mini mechs like these based on the Mixel ball joint system. It really reminds me of some of the Ultra Agents mechs, like Toxikita got one of these, and it came with that to face off against the larger mech, which is really cool. So for $150, we got all this. Now for $160, we get this. And yes, I know a lot has changed since 2020. I don't need to tell you that. But it kind of feels to me that we are getting equivalent value with the mechs here, if not maybe worse value. There are a lot of things about this mech here that I actually kind of like better than the newer one. without all this extra side stuff. Now, talking about the piece count here, and piece count certainly isn't everything, but it is something to consider. This set also came with 6 minifigures, so they are very aligned there, and it came with 1,629 pieces, whereas this one comes with 1,705. So this has about 30 more pieces than this, making them basically equivalent. And let's say, for example, if this came out today, this would also be 160 because yada yada, price increases, COVID, supply issues, you name it. I imagine that these two sets are essentially meant to be incredibly comparable in terms of the way that they're built. So setting aside the really great side builds, which are some of my favorite side builds of the sets, let's just look at the two mechs in comparison. Now, I haven't actually done a full review on this mech yet. I probably will do it at some point because it is a really good model. It doesn't have knee articulation, which is fine. I mean, that was kind of expected to that day. We weren't getting stuff like the Zane Titan mech or the Samurai mech then. But this mech can actually articulate its legs pretty much all the way you would want to, so you can actually bend it backwards. They use literally the same exact leg technique, except this just doesn't have bricks that prevent it from being moved backwards. The feet obviously are more restrictive, but you can actually bend them back and forth a little bit as well as side to side, whereas the newer one doesn't allow you to do that. The head can actually be moved. You can move it up and down and side to side, so that is great to see. This actually does have head articulation. This set was also really, really monumental in pioneering drum lacquered gold as a color. Obviously, it existed before Monkie Kid, but this set was really cool because it recolored a ton of elements for the first time in drum lacquered gold. To the boots on the feet, to these armor here, to the ingots, to these circular pieces, to the bananas, to the wheel pieces, to the kind of side armor pieces here, to the Nexo Knight shields in gold, to these grill pieces in these specialized gold colors. That was very, very monumental for LEGO to do. Whereas this set, unfortunately, doesn't do that. Any piece on the set that wasn't already a metallic kind of special drum lacquered gold color, which are these ones right here, these are pretty much the only ones just on the front of the mech, was just molded in pearl gold. Now, LEGO has actually explained this. It actually costs them the price of a brand new mold every time they want to recolor a piece in drum lacquered gold. The reason for this is because the drum lacquering process adds a very, very tiny little bit of extra thickness to the pieces themselves. So what they do is they actually remold every single piece in a slightly smaller, slightly more fine-tuned dimensions to allow it to actually be the same exact dimensions as the other colors of the piece when the drum lacquered is applied on. It's a very, very minute thing, but it's very, very important because that means that every single one of these pieces that is colored in the drum lacquered gold on the original set required a brand new mold. That is right. You would treat these as a brand new piece being introduced just for this set and series. So that was very, very cool and really did help this feel deluxe because literally every single gold piece on the set, aside from some of the stuff with the flags up here, was a new piece introduced in drum lacquered gold. From these pieces right here, to kind of the detailing on the front of the head, to all of the curves making it around, this was a really deluxe and fantastic set because it really does get across that very metallic color. This, on the other hand, does not introduce any of those pieces, so the budget wasn't spent on that, which makes me kind of wonder what exactly was the budget spent on. Because one other thing I do want to mention with this set itself is that this had a crazy, and I mean crazy, amount of stickers. Let me show you the sticker sheet on screen right now. You can actually see the sticker sheet, and the thing that bugged me the most about it is that going back to the model, a lot of the stickers used, literally like 12 copies of the same print, were the same exact print being just used on the same piece in the same orientation. Specifically, these right here were used a ton of times around the hands, around the elbows, around some of the sides here, and of course a lot of the other stickers were just used the same way as well. There were 4 of the same stickers used for the fingers here, where you can see right here, those are the stickers. Right here you've got stickers for fingers, 2 of the same stickers being used on these pieces, a very frustrating sticker to put on for the mouth there, and yeah, this is very odd to me, because the thing is, Monkie Kid typically has very deluxe products and deluxe look and feels, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the minifigures, but it felt very strange to me to have to put the same sticker on the same piece in the same orientation over and over again. And you know, I don't really typically mind stickers. I usually enjoy actually putting stickers on. I think stickers do have good value because it means that you can reuse pieces for other stuff and they aren't locked to one print. But if you're using the same piece with the same print literally like 12 times in one set, I think that's the point where you actually consider doing it as a print. And if previously you had the budget to create a ton of new molds for the exact kind of model of the set, why not actually just invest a little bit in the printing budget and actually print some of the pieces here? But wait, they did, because this is printed right here. This one-off piece with the Monkey King emblem on the center of the chest is printed, and the same goes for the eyes, which of course the eyes make sense. But why was this printed and not this? That is very strange to me because this is a very easy sticker to put on. It's also a very specific piece where you can't really use this outside of MK specific stuff for the chest emblem. Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy it was printed and I was shocked to see that it was printed when I took it out of the box. But why not just make this a sticker and make this a smaller piece printed to prevent you from having to put literally 12 stickers on? That is very strange to me. I don't really know what was going on behind the scenes to necessitate that. But all in all, just some strange allocations of the budgeting of the set. But aside from that, I do kind of want to do a direct comparison between these two models. Obviously, despite them being spiritual successors, or I guess this is a spiritual successor to this, they have very different look and feels for the actual way that their silhouettes work out. This original mech had a very unique design with actual Technic gears being used to articulate the shoulders here, which were these very large kind of hollow circular elements, but then the arms themselves kind of felt a little bit lacking and awkward in the way that they actually just used some strange archways like here, which kind of felt a little bit strange to me. This set here actually goes all in on the fully armored up look. I really do like the inclusion of these brick-built kind of skirt pieces. These are very cool, especially in the drum lacquered gold. I also kind of like the shaping here and how a lot more emphasis is put on the cockpit itself with a very nice technical readout on the screen there, whereas this one also had a pretty cool chest with kind of a circular view in the center. And then of course, instead of using brick-built pieces for the front, instead opted to use these metallic kind of vinyl pieces for the sides of the cloth on the legs there, which look really cool. This looks really good to me, and even a full-on cloth cape on the back, which is meant to mimic the original MK cape. This, on the other hand, uses these kind of awkward-looking brick-built side pieces, which I guess work out okay, but then it really makes the joints feel very exposed. There's a lot of open space right here, and here it's pretty much covered up because of these particular pieces being used on the cloth. So that, I think, is a bit of a con to me, and honestly, I would have much preferred if they literally just used this exact piece, maybe change the printing a little bit around the side here, because I think that would have really made the set feel more complete. One thing I think the thing is also missing is that on the older mech, I love the way that these particular shoulders were done, giving it a very unique silhouette in the show and in a set form to have these kind of large shoulder pads. Whereas here you do have the guns, which do flip down, but altogether, the shoulders feel a little bit more generic and standard in terms of being armored up compared to the original set. All in all, I think in terms of comparison, I'm going to be completely honest here, this set would have made sense if this was long discontinued. But the thing is, you can still buy this today from Lego.com. It's retiring soon if it's not retired already by the time this video comes out, but this is one of the Monkey Kid sets from the first wave that they actually kept around, because they probably knew how good it was and wanted to keep it around as a staple of the theme. So this is still available, you can actually get it. I know it went on sale for Black Friday, so if you want it for even less than $150, you can do that. And then this is coming out very recently, just a couple of months later, presumably after this gets discontinued. And it's not a downgrade by any means. It's more of a lateral shift to me. But for something to be done as a remake, essentially this is a remake of this set after 3 years, I really kind of was expecting slightly better building techniques and slightly improved detailing in terms of the way the set is set up. And I'm honestly a little disappointed in the way that this is essentially was hyped up to be kind of a successor to this, but instead kind of just feels like more of the same, if not worse than what we got before. Now this does have a lot of pros to it. There are a lot of things I love about this mech. And one of the things we're going to get to in a second, which is the detachable jet. But I just feel like this had such a unique impact. When the set came out, this was revolutionary for LEGO mech design. It was pretty much the largest original theme mech we ever got. It introduced a ton of new drum lacquered pieces, as well as these metallic pieces for the first time on mechs, as well as a full cape, and you actually got to see the potential of what LEGO could do, the best they could do out of a mech in 2020. 3 years later, here comes 2023, LEGO has shown us they can do better mechs than this. They can give them knees that actually work out for larger mechs. They can add better articulation for the legs. They can actually make things move their legs and not have this kind of restrictive technique being used. But then they just seem to have reverted back, borrowed too many aspects of the worst parts of this design, aka no knees, somewhat restrictiveness in terms of the upper legs here, and then just kind of doubled down and dialed it up in terms of having this just feel, yes, it's a very similar model, these feels like lateral shifts compared to each other, but I would have really wanted to see an improvement, especially if you look at something like Ninjago, where the Destiny's Bounty, which first came out in 2012, got a fantastic remake in 2015, got reimagined again in 2017, and then reimagined again in 2021, which every single iteration brought something new to the table and felt completely distinct and a solid improvement over the last. This just feels more of the lateral shift from here to here. And I would understand it if this was long discontinued, like if this discontinued at the end of 2020, and fans wanted a new Monkie Kid mech, this would have been perfect. This would have been great. It would have been like getting an older set kind of re-released almost in a similar fashion to sometimes LEGO does things and they just remake older sets. But having this still be on the market, which some would say is even better than this in terms of what the entire set includes, because again, it also comes with this and the other mech, just feels a little bit strange to me, and I definitely was expecting a little bit more from this mech. But that's enough I can say about the comparisons. I don't want to harp on it too much at risk of sounding like a broken record, which I probably already do. That's just personally what I think about the model. Alright, so with that, we have taken our look at the comparison between the Warrior Mech and the Ultra Mech. Now, this is a really interesting one because, again, they're priced at similar price points and they are basically direct comparisons to each other. Now, those are just my thoughts and I would love to hear yours, so let me know down in the comments below, which one do you think is the better deal? Which one, price aside, do you think is the better set? And if you had the choice, which one would you get? So this has been certainly pretty interesting. I still think I would lean towards the older one, the 2020 version. I think just had something a little bit more special. It obviously really redefined the system of building large mechs when it first came out, which made it really revolutionary, whereas this feels like a little bit more of the same, but not necessarily innovating too much on the mech concept. But again, those are just my thoughts, so do let me know in the comments if you agree or you disagree. And with that, we have about summed up these reviews. Thank you so much for tuning into Duck Bricks. Like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Bye for now.